doing?
Hey Mini enthusiasts, how you doing?
Hey Mini enthusiasts, how you doing? So you might be thinking it's all gone a bit mad in this house at the moment, and it has. So why am I wearing a set of race overalls in the evening? Don't know, because I can. I got them a couple of weeks ago, they're pretty cool. Really like them, so I thought I'd do a bit of a different intro today. So since the last update, been to Brands Hatch on a track day with Mark in the Track Mini Bolt. That went really well actually. Absolutely fantastic day out. It was the first run out ever for the car, so it's not road legal. The first time we drove this car was on the track at Brands Hatch, and I'll do an upload later on in the Project Bolt videos where we'll show the track day and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But in brief, it was a great day. The weather was horrendous though. It was sleeting, it was snowing, it was raining really hard all day long. Conditions on the track were awful. It was really slippery. I think there were about 40 cars there on the day, so we were there for the whole day. We had a garage to work on the car while we were there. And of those 40 cars, I think about 3 of them crashed, big time crashed into the barriers or ripped bits of suspension off, and probably about another 15 ended up in the gravel trap. Really pleased to say, Bolt, the new race Mini, we were gentle with it. We did have some fun, but we made it through the whole day. No mechanical failures, didn't end up in the gravel trap, and it was just great fun. Great getting used to the car. We fiddled around with it, got it set up while we were there, and no problem. So what more can you ask? And what was really interesting actually, just to make the day a little bit more mad with all the weather and that, I was doing some laps in the Mini, come back in, and the guy said to me, "Did you see the Ford Transit when you were going round?" And I'm like, what do I mean Ford Transit? So I've got back, I've looked on YouTube, and believe it or not, there was a Ford Transit Jumbo, which is the big Ford Transit, and it was a carpeting van. So I'll put a link maybe in the description down the bottom of the Ford Transit van, but it was Luke Anthony flooring. So while I was going around the track, so was he in a Ford Transit Jumbo. I'm glad to say he didn't catch up with me and he didn't overtake me, and but vice versa, I didn't overtake him or see him either, so it made the day really interesting. And we'll get on to some technical mechanical bits in a minute. So I have done some work this week, or certainly last week, on PIIOOW with the water leak, so we'll get to that in a moment. But last weekend was all about car shows actually, so both cars went out. That hasn't happened for a long time actually. So went out so it was Easter weekend. We went out on Saturday to Piazza Italia in Horsham, which is kind of a celebration of all things Italian or loosely related to Italy. So they put loads of food on and music and entertainment all around you know, Italy. And they have Italian sports cars as well, and obviously Minis have a big Italian influence, especially with the Italian job Minis, and they built Innocenti Minis in Italy as well, so they have a good following of Minis there, but they also have Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all the Italian super and hypercars there. So that was amazing actually. I don't think I've ever seen so many Lamborghinis in one place. There must have been about 20 to 30 of them parked up sort of in the Carfax in the middle of Horsham, all revving their engines, and that just sounded awesome. The only downer on the day though, it just rained really hard all day long, and the Minis were parked in a car park round some offices round the back in Horsham, so unfortunately I don't think anyone really got to see the Minis, which is a bit of a shame, but nonetheless it was good fun. We managed to hide from the rain, so we had breakfast in Wetherspoons, which managed to last about an hour and a half, and then we managed to make lunch last about 2 hours, so we still got absolutely soaking wet, but it was a good day out. And then Easter Sunday, Vini went out for a drive as well, so they had a classic car get together at Stanmer House in Brighton. I think they do that about every quarter, but that's really good. I've put some photos in here as well, so it's classic, loosely based classic though. There were some modern classic cars there as well, but it's great to see some different cars actually. I personally get bored of seeing Minis all the time. I go to all the shows, see all the same Minis. It's nice to go to some different shows and different events sometimes and see some different cars. So there's some photos of that in a minute. It was another great day out actually. They provide free tea and coffee to the drivers, which I think is great. And the weather was much better on the Sunday, so it wasn't sunny, but it wasn't raining. It was just a little bit cold, but I can put on an extra coat, don't mind a bit of cold. And for the more observant of you, you might notice behind me, it's usually PIIOOW in the garage, but it's not. Vini's back in the garage today. So Vini was off for his MOT today, took it down to Brighton. It was his 6th MOT that I've done, so that's quite a milestone for me. So that means this year I will have owned Vini for 6 years, which is the longest I've ever owned a car. Never owned a car that long. There's been many times, quite recently actually, certainly towards the end of last year, where I thought about selling Vini. I found a new love of Vini with taking it on track days and doing sort of run what you brung and that sort of thing. So I kind of fell back in love with it again. And certainly now, I've had the car 6 years. I really would not want to sell it. I've put so much work into it now. I would really feel pained to give all that hard work to someone else. And I took it down for an MOT today with my little boy. The sun was out, the weather was warm, and it drove absolutely awesomely. I don't know what it is. When there's a bit of sun, a bit of fresh air, wind the windows down a bit, it just felt really nice to drive. It went really, really well. So guys, thanks for watching. Hi to all the new subscribers. There's been loads since I last said that, so thank you very much for subscribing. If you're watching for the first time, I'm not usually this mad. I do quite serious videos usually, but please hit the subscribe button, please like, and please leave some comments. I always reply to people's comments if I can, and I'll certainly help you out if you have any questions. Hey guys, how you doing? So, little fix here. I've had this coolant leak on PIIIOOW since I put the engine back in. It's a very, very tiny coolant leak, literally like probably after you've run it I'll get 2 drips and that's it. And I noticed the drips were coming down this green fuel pipe here and just puddling on the top of that connector. So that was sort of first indication of where to look for it. So I looked above. We've got this like coolant hose connector here, which is for the heater pipes inside the car, and it was just, like I say, very, very infrequent, but there was just a drip on the bottom of that connector there. So it's a plastic connector in between, and it's fixed on with these spring clips, which when I looked at the rubber pipes, you can see there's impressions in the rubber pipes where the spring clips have been, and I thought maybe these have just got a bit old, lost their tension, not pressing on the rubber very well. So I thought what I'd do is just fit a couple of Jubilee clips. These are a little bit wider, and you can tighten them up a little bit more. So I thought that would sort out the problem. I started to take the hose off to fit the clips, and that's what I found. The connector in between the 2 hoses goes in there. And as you can see, as I've sort of started playing around with that, it just snapped in half. So I think that's all that's happened there is the plastic has just become brittle over the years. So nice simple fix. I've got a plastic hose connector here. I'll just insert that between the 2, put a couple of new clips on, bleed up the cooling system again, and that should be fine. Okay guys, that's that little fix done now. When I took the pipes off, actually I was quite careful to keep the pipes lifted up, so that meant I lost very little coolant, probably only lost an egg cupful. So put the connector back on, decided to use the non-standard Jubilee clips as opposed to the spring clips, just for the reasons why I said earlier. So I think sometimes you can get a bit too worked up about originality and that sort of thing. They're more practical than the spring clips. Spring clips are really used just to speed up manufacture when they build the cars, so, and they're cheaper. So they do a better job, I think. Coolant wise, I've just run it up, put the heater on hot, so you've got water flowing that's in the heater matrix and out the heater matrix inside the car, and it's barely noticeable that it's gone down, so I'll just keep an eye on the coolant level for now. Really glad I spotted this leak now actually, because that could have gone at any time, I suppose. Really could have been really inconvenient if I was out on a run, or it's always worth looking under your bonnet of your Mini, keeping on top of things, looking for oil and water leaks, something like that. Very little drip like that, but that plastic connector was so brittle it just fell to pieces at the end, which reminds me actually there's another plastic connector over the back here, so better keep an eye on that one as well. Wow, well done viewers. If you've got right to the end and you're watching this, then thank you very much. Like I said earlier, please subscribe if you don't subscribe already. Hit like, leave a comment. I just wanted to leave a bit of an outro here just to mention again about the giveaway. So when we get to 850 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away a paper cut. It'll be a custom made paper cut by my wife. So she makes these and sells these for sort of £35 a time. They look really cool, really personalised. The video just doesn't do it justice. You've got to see them in person. But you know, if you want your car in a paper cut, if you want your baby, if you want you and your wife, maybe a pet, something like that, it's a really nice gift for someone. So that's going to happen I'll give it away at 850 subscribers, and I think what we do, we're not far off it now, so when we get to round about the 700 mark, I'll post up a video, and if you leave a comment on that 700 subscriber video, then I will enter you in the prize draw for the paper cut. So once again, thank you very much guys.